So I was just reminiscing about all the times I almost died, and like a normal person, I thought, this will make for really good content actually. So I decided to make a tier list of all the times I almost died, and I'm gonna rank them most memorable, the least memorable. I'll probably put funnier ones on the top tier just because. But yeah, let's speedrun some of these. I've got some 8-year-old pictures saved to help me remember them. Alright, so first up, what do we got? Oh, we have here, I was at this amusement park called Ghost Town. It's up in the mountains area towards the eastern United States. And one of the seatbelts on these little, if you've ever been to the fair or anything, how it's got those little fucking chairs that helicopters you around into the air. Well, the belt gave out, so I'm up here holding onto the seat for dear life as the swings are flying over this cliff. So at any point, I could just fucking nosedive off here and die, so that was pretty fun. And of course, the dude working, I'm sitting here screaming at him, and he's just thinking I'm just being a normal kid, just screaming because I'm scared, and I'm like, no, motherfucker, I'm about to die. Yeah, that was a fun little memory. Well, put it this way, I'm still scared of heights to this day. It left quite an impression on me in an otherwise good vacation, so I'm gonna have to put it on top tier. So S tier, there you go, buddy, well deserved. Alright, so what do we have here? Oh yeah, I was chilling with my homeboy Kyle, but we're sitting in his living room here just chilling, and I see him kind of sniff the air and walk into the kitchen. I'm like, what is he doing? He just looks around at everything, starts messing around with the stove, turning all the dials back and forth, looks at it, and I'm like, so what's the deal, man? You look kind of worried there. And he's just like, I'm pretty sure my mom tried to kill me again. So apparently they used a gas stove, and apparently she just left it leaking. And I guess it's happened before to where he knew the smell and he went to check it and he turned it all off, and he was just like, wow, dude, if we would have lit a cigarette about 15 minutes from now, this place probably would have exploded. So I'm like, oh, well, alright, good look, man, I appreciate you. So I find trying to assassinate your son pretty interesting, but it wasn't against me, so I can't take it too personally. But it was memorable and funny, but it also wasn't too dangerous, I guess. Like, my life didn't flash before my eyes or nothing. So I think that's a solid B tier. I think this will be standard. Oh, this is a good one right here. This is actually one of my first memories. So I was a baby, and my dad and my uncle were fishing out in this, I don't know if you'd call it like a swampy river type area, I guess. And they're both fishing, predisposed, and me being a dumb baby, I just lollygag over here and bloop, fall right down into the water. And I still remember being surrounded by the water too. It was that like murky green color, and I just remember holding my breath. I thought it was beautiful. I saw like a little bit of sunlight coming through the water. I saw the bottom of the boat, and then my uncle actually had a broken arm, and he's the one that jumped in and saved me because my dad was just like, fuck it, circle of life type mentality, so he probably didn't really care too much. But yeah, my uncle jumped in, saved me, and I was at least decently smart and held my breath. Apparently that's a reflex for babies, is to sense when they need to hold their breath or something like that. So, but yeah, that was a fun first memory, and it didn't stop me because I realized a lot of my near-death experiences have to do with water. So, I didn't learn anything from this, and I just thought it was pretty cool. I almost died, but I didn't have any fear of death, so I can't put it in S tier, so I think I'll sneak it right into a comfortable A tier. That seems good to me. But yeah, speaking of water, see, I'm here at the beach with my mom. She's getting her suntan on, or sunbathing, whatever you fancy white women call it. And then me being a little baby, I walk over here and I happen to stumble upon a crab nest. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced a crab nest, but they like to post up in the sand, and if you step within a certain vicinity, the ground pretty much just collapses or just slides off, right? Well, what compounded this problem for me is that on this particular day, there was a strong rip current, like right here. So the nest collapses, and I just zoom right out into the ocean. And my mom, seeing me randomly disappear and being the good swimmer she is, she just freaking swan dives into the water and scoops me back up and saves me. And me being the dumb kid that I am, I had no idea what was going on. It felt like a roller coaster ride to me. All I went was I had zoomies in the water, and that was fun. So when she saved me, I'm pretty sure the first words out of my mouth was, again. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah, since I didn't feel endangered, though my life was in danger apparently, it still wasn't all too bad. It was pretty tame, so I think I'll put it in a B tier. I think that sounds fair. This is where I literally fell through a pier. Okay, so a habit my dad had whenever it came to fishing or anything, we would always end up trespassing and being in places we shouldn't. So we'd go through the side of this person's yard, and in their backyard, it was pretty much connected to a couple of little piers, and then it was right on a river. So we get on this ancient Neanderthal like fucking pier. But yeah, he must have told me like 3 or 4 times, and of course I'm a dumb idiot and I wasn't listening. He was like, all right, now be careful, there's a whole bunch of holes in this pier here. All right, it's really old. Be careful. Like, yeah, all right. So after about an hour or so, in the middle of fishing, I go to walk over here to pick up some bait, and then and I feel myself fall through it. All right, now mind you, this is a river, okay, and it has some pretty strong current in here, and I have not learned my lesson, and I have not learned to swim. I probably should, if this video is teaching me and my potential audience anything, is that I have way too many close calls with water, and I should probably get my shit together and learn how to swim. But nah, I'm way too black to swim. I ain't about that fucking life. You can get out of here with that. So me having the reflexes that I do, I hang on to the sides of the hole that I fall through, and luckily my daddy catches it and he hears it and he comes and scoops me up, so I was good. But I kind of saw a good 15-foot drop to my death potentially, so that was a fun one for sure. And of course we kept fishing as usual. It's just business, man. It's just being out in nature, it's just circle of life. So I didn't think too much of it. But yeah, it was a lot of new sensations all at once in quick succession. And I'm pretty paranoid when I get on piers now. So it made a difference on my psyche, I'd like to think. So I think I'll put it in a solid A. This one's a vivid memory. So I don't know if y'all are familiar with spice. When it first came out, people were like, oh yeah, it's like legal weed pretty much. There's a kind called Mr. Nice Guy, which everyone, smoked on, and we tried it and it was pretty good. So we decided to experiment. Well, we got this stuff called Stinger, because we're like, oh, that sounds metal, we gotta smoke that. Suffice to say, I smoked way too much of it, to the point to where I remember sitting on my couch and I was watching a Jason Statham movie. I remember that vividly because, it gets the heart rate going. I was like, oh shit. But then I realized my heart wasn't calming down at all. It was getting worse, and my arms started to hurt, and I didn't know what was going on, and I was just really fucking confused. And I just remembered sitting there just hoping to God it was going to end, because no one wants to be a buzzkill and be like, oh yeah, I know we just got high together, but I'm gonna die and I need to go to the hospital. So I just held on, and luckily it did stop. But for about a year, I want to say, whenever my heart rate would go up, my chest would feel sore and I'd get all lightheaded and stuff, and it did such a number on my psyche that I actually stopped smoking cigarettes for about 3 years, I want to say, until I finally evened out to where I can muster the courage to smoke a cigarette or have any type of stimulant. So yeah, definitely life-altering for a little bit, so I'm gonna have to put this on the S tier for sure. I still remember it to this day. So like I had mentioned about my dad being a free spirit, one of our favorite fishing spots, we actually had to walk on a train track for a little bit, and it eventually led to a little bit of like a dirt mound right underneath one of the tunnels, and it was a really good fishing spot. But this particular day, we got halfway to our spot and then we heard a train coming. So what we did was, there's this itty bitty little speck of dirt right out the side, because it was like a bunch of trees and stuff off and on and a little bit of dirt, but then like huge drop-offs and then like water and everything like that. So what we did, we got onto the side, Dad stepped on the little bit of dirt mound, held onto a ledge, held on to me, and I found a little something to hold on to, and we're probably maybe 4 or 5 feet away from a train, and we just watched it zoom by, and I just thought it was like the coolest thing ever, Once again, when you're young and dumb, man, everything feels like an adventure. You don't think that your parents, the ones that are supposed to be protecting you, are actually setting you up for your timely death. No, this was super fun, and I have a lot of other good memories about fishing on this particular railroad track. Oh yeah, funny story too about this. We took my sister here a few times, and one time we were walking down the tracks, and a cop actually saw us and followed us down the tracks just to tell us to get the fuck back, and told my dad to stop being a maniac and take care of his children better. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, that was all in a day's work. So I think I'll put this one on B tier. It wasn't too life-threatening and it was super fun, so I can't have it too high. Oh yeah, this was hell of a day right here. So I don't know if you guys have heard of jetties before, but it's essentially like where you got a whole bunch of water and shit, usually by some type of like canal or opening going towards the ocean, and then there's this little line of rocks that tend to be there. Well, our boat malfunctioned and we actually got stranded here. So my dad went to go put down the anchor, or almost lost the anchor. So we were almost adrift, and the currents here are pretty big as it is. So that wouldn't have been nice. We would have ended up going right into the rocks. And me being young but somewhat self-aware at this point, I was freaking out, man. I had to shit off the side of the boat, but it didn't come out right, so it just got all on the side of the boat. We found out later on. That was pretty embarrassing, but we had no choice but to sit there and wait for help because my dad didn't pack flares or anything like that to give a sign because he was never prepared. He was pretty impulsive too. So yeah, and at the same time, throughout the day and night, we had these huge cargo ships that are pretty much the size of mansions. Imagine mansions just traveling down the water at a pretty fast speed, and it's just sending huge waves towards us, almost capsizing us multiple times, so that was fun. And then it got to be a little bit into the night, and I saw another boat kind of coming up this way and was turning this way, and I noticed it and I woke my dad up and he started blinking the lights on the boat off and on, and luckily through the grace of God they noticed it and they're like, yeah, we saw your lights flickering, is there a problem? And we're like, oh, thank fucking God he noticed it. All right, cool. But yeah, after all said and done, my dad was still talking shit. He's like, see, I told you it'd work itself out. They got people coming here all the time. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you felt comfortable. And he was even giving me the rundown on how long the human body could survive with a little bit of water and how much food could last you and everything. It was a whole thing. I wish I could keep my head in life and death situations like he could. But yeah, got stranded and magically saved. Almost died from flying into the rocks. Almost died from the ship. Could have potentially died from dehydration and starvation. So I'm gonna have to put this S tier. Abso-fucking-lutely. Oh yeah, this one was a doozy. So I had just gotten home and was chilling out for a little bit, watch some TV. And my sister had to go to work. And she went outside for a minute and ran back in the house screaming about something. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? Go out here. She points to the gas tank on my dad's roommate's truck. Someone put a sock in the gas tank and lit it on fire, I guess into attempt to blow it up. I don't know if it works like that, if it's like a Michael Bay movie or something. So my sister calls work because she was on the way to work and they didn't believe her, so they came, seen it, and they gave her a ride because she's like, there's no way I'm riding in this potential fire hazard. But come to find out, it was this one dude's wife that wanted to do that for revenge because a few days prior, maybe about a week, her husband actually was over here chilling with my dad, stole his car keys, stole his car, got into a high-speed chase, and actually crashed and decapitated himself. So that's a whole other video I guess I should probably do some content on. That was pretty interesting. But yeah, truck wasn't harmed, we weren't harmed, we were all good. So didn't come to too much harm, and it's not like it was still on fire or went out pretty quick. She was pretty shitty at assassinating us, so I'll just put this at a C tier. It was pretty meh. And not to be outdone, another beach incident. So I'm chilling at the beach with one of my homeboys, and we start walking into the water, and for some reason it was super shallow, way more far out than it should have been. I guess it was like a mini sandbar type thing or whatever you want to call it. So we're sitting here walking over halfway, almost to the end of the pier, and then of course we start walking back because we're like, all right, this is getting kind of suspicious. And he knew I couldn't swim either, and he's just like, man, you're really testing it. I'm like, oh, come on, man, we're a little messed up. I'm like, oh, this is fun, this is an adventure. So of course we get to going back and it starts collapsing because the tide is changing. So I fall out, deep bloop, into the ocean, and I start screaming, and he hears me and he comes back, scoops me up and saves me. So Patrick, if you're watching this, you're my fucking boy, man. You fucking saved my life. So yeah, this had all elements. It had impending doom, lots of adrenaline, me being an idiot, epic foreshadowing, but it did help me realize who one of my best friends were. Just because of that, S tier, absolutely. Well, last and certainly not least, I guess, we have whenever it snowed here, we had like a mini ice blizzard, and I can't remember if I went to hit my brakes or my gas or something, but suddenly I felt the car hit zero gravity. So I guess along the sides I must have tripped on some black ice while I was driving. It's one of those roads to where right on the side is probably a good 10 foot or so drop off, right? So I'm constantly building up a little momentum. I start spinning, zero gravity mode, back and forth. Luckily, I had a Mustang at the time and it was pretty low to the ground. So I think as I'm spinning, it's actually grabbing some of the little snow deposits and stuff, right? Because it gets mound up and pretty thick. So I think it actually scrapes against it and kind of helps realign me. So I gain momentum and then I start slowly losing it until I end up on the opposite side of the road. So on the opposite side of the road, I just start driving. I don't even care because there's no other cars. Screw it, right? I'm not taking any chances trying to recover distance and, hit a fucking other black ice mound or something. Oh, and then after I get home, of course, because I'm still here talking to you. But they had closed this road down like maybe 15 minutes or so after I got home because they said the road was too dangerous to be driving on. I'm like, well, better late than never, I guess. But yeah, I could have instantly just bloop and then fucking dove head first at high velocity to my death. So luckily that didn't happen, but you know, all things considering, it wasn't too bad. It could have been worse. Like if there was traffic and then I caused this huge collision, it could have been way worse. But it was kind of lame compared to the other things on here. So I think I'm gonna have to set this one in C tier. So yeah, this was my tier list about times I almost died. I think I did a pretty decent job, you know, filling this out. I had a pretty adventurous life, you know, what can I say? I hope you enjoyed my almost deaths for content, and y'all stay safe out there. Sorry if this dragged on for too long, but I have the memory of a goldfish and I can't remember past one sentence of what I'm talking about usually, so this takes me a lot of time, so I hope you enjoyed.